This is Titus Sewell's oral history project for volunteering. So, what is your name?
Karenbea Sewell,
Where are you from?
Huntington Woods, Michigan.
What type of community service have you done?
I have volunteered to help with uniforms, marching band uniforms for the Berkley Instrumental Boosters.
What role do you think volunteering plays in the whole community?
I think it's an important role to give back to your community, to make an investment in your community.
Okay. So some background about your experiences. How did you find your way to your volunteer work?
I have a friend that is in the Berkley Instrumental Boosters, and he asked me to help out, plus my son, Titus, is in the marching band.
Can you maybe elaborate a little more on the purpose of this organization?
It supports the bands in the Berkley school districts, or in the Berkley school district. Supports the band program, instrumental program.
So some specifics about your experience. Can you tell me what you specifically did during your volunteer work?
I worked. My main function is to take care of all the marching band uniforms, so that includes getting them checked out to each band member and making sure it's logged in a system, doing any alterations on them, and then when marching season's over, to make sure they all get turned back in, which is quite a bit of work because it's about 125 students in the marching band. And I also attend the games, the football games, and other events that the marching band is in, to make sure kids don't have any problems with their uniforms.
Okay. Besides the fact that your friend asked you to volunteer and that your son is in the program, is there any other reasons you selected this program to volunteer in?
I think that music, I think music is can be an important part of a child's life. I think it taps into a part of our being that we don't typically tap into all the time. I think it's a creative outlet, so that's one of the reasons I support the band.
What do you like? What is the most enjoyable factor about this specific type of volunteer work?
For me, it's to see it all come together out on the field. So, for instance, you might sew a button on, or you might, let's say at a game, the child forgets a piece of their uniform, so you make sure they have it. That's all individual work, but when you see it all come together as a whole, and I see 125 kids out on the field, all in these really nice uniforms, it all comes together, and there's a sense of pride that I had a role in that, and to know that and there's a hope that the kids have a sense of pride about it as well, that they've all come together as a group and and can perform as a group. It's a lot of work, and it's just nice to see it all come together and be a part of it.
Very true. Besides maybe the members of the band, is there anybody else you think is helped by your volunteer work?
I think the director I think it would be very difficult for the director to be in charge, the band director to be in charge of uniforms as well, because it's actually it's a big responsibility, and he already has a full schedule and a lot of students, so I think it helps him a lot.
Okay. Do you think you've learned any lessons from your volunteer work?
I learned that it's a bigger job than I thought it was when I first volunteered for it. And I didn't realize how much went into taking care of the uniforms. I've also learned that some kids just need extra support. For instance, if they're not getting that at home, they may show up and have pieces of their uniform missing, or and they just need that extra support from an outside individual like myself.
When you volunteer, what type of work are you most satisfied with in your job?
I like interacting with the students, the band members. They all have very different personalities, and I like to just get to know the students a little bit, and to know that I'm participating in their musical success in high school.
Do you have any suggestions of how someone might find an organization to volunteer in, or how to find something that's right for them?
I think if you just think about something that you like to do or something that interests you, you are bound to find a organization out there that needs your help.
And last question, do you think people have a responsibility to volunteer in their community, or is it more of something that's kind of optional?
I personally, I don't think people have a responsibility to volunteer. I think it's nice when people do, but no, I don't think there's a responsibility. But there's always a payoff when people do volunteer and help out in their community.
Okay, well, I think this has been very helpful to our community, what you've done, and I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.